since you've been gone. It's been forever autumn, but I have not forgotten the light you've shone. Since you've been gone, I've done too much talking. I just go out walking where the light is strong. 'Cause here inside of me, love will always hold the key that opens the door where there's no more separation. Since you please sail the stormy sea of whatever has to be, we'll cry no more when our feet touch the shores of liberation. Since you've been gone, I've been reading the letters, the ones that you sent me when it all went wrong.
So I'm John Strang, and so Professor Sir John Strang, and I head up the National Addiction Centre, which is at King's College London. I think it's particularly important because it's a topic area that doesn't get talked about. We have lots of public concern and discussion about drug use in society. We have a certain amount of public attention to deaths that occur from drug use, but we have very little attention to the pain around the bereavement, and also to whether we could, both individually and as a society, be better prepared, or we could look for ways in which we could prevent the death outcome when an overdose occurs. I think huge progress has been made in terms of raising awareness around drug-related deaths in general, and that there are things that we could do that would make a difference. Somebody being in treatment, almost all of the treatments that exist are associated with a much lower risk of death when someone is participating in treatment. We also need to realise that the transition periods, the period of chaos that often precedes entering treatment and the beginnings of that treatment, but also the end of that treatment, are their risk times. So that's the optimistic view. The pessimistic view is I still think we see stigma and discrimination standing in the way of simple interventions that could occur, and quite frankly, I think they're indefensible, the fact that we don't pay more attention to explaining to people what emergency intervention they could do if they come across an overdose situation.
So it gives me a lot of pleasure to welcome our first family member speaking today, Rachel Fox.
Hi everyone, just to introduce myself, I'm Rachel. I'm married, my husband's here today, 3 children. I've also got a granddaughter now, little Bella, and today I'm going to share my story. So I'm just listening, and I've worked with addiction on and off for about 20 years, so I'm actually feeling quite blessed now. So I really do know my brothers were really sick, and that helps with the anger. So that's really I've come today to give my story of the loss of my 3 brothers who all died of addiction. The first one died of a heroin overdose. When he died of a heroin overdose, Michael died. He'd had a lot to drink, and he took a lot of DFs, like morphine-based tablets, and Dean had took a lot of ecstasy and had been drinking, so they all died of overdose. Yeah, because we all came from the same upbringing, there was a feeling of like, it's not fair that they went down that road, or because for me I got a lot of support from people along the way in my life, and I just why is it them? Why am I not the same? Yeah. Well, one of them was 13 years ago, so I didn't cope that well then. Counselling is what I've had, quite a lot of counselling. And then, yeah, with each one, counselling and support as well. Friends, husband. We've been together, I think we were only together a year when my first brother died, so he's been there for every brother. There's loads of support here, and Peter was great. And it was lovely. The audience is a good audience to talk to, so I'm really glad I've done it. It's healing, I guess, to keep saying my story. There are a few 12 steps groups where you get to go and share. There's 2 drug agencies that one's got one family worker and one's got a family department, but there's not big, so you have to go into the drug agency where people who are addicted go the same, and I don't think every family member wants to, but I'd like to just do what Elizabeth does, so that's what I would like.
I'd like to introduce our second family member speaking today, Mary McNeil. Mary's going to be talking about her own journey of bereavement, the lessons to be learned and the gifts contained in those lessons. So please welcome Mary. Thank you.
Being an older member of the group, I shall read my presentation because I can tend to lose my track if I just speak freely, so forgive me for that. I'd like to thank Elizabeth for inviting me to speak today about the impact of losing Libby and Giles, and I'll talk you through a series of events relating to them both in my attempt to convey. I'm Mary McNeil. I'm a retired school teacher. I live at home with my husband, who's got advanced dementia, and my 7-year-old grandson who has autism. Libby died in 2013. Giles died in 2017. Libby died from a heroin overdose. I'm always assuming it was an accidental heroin overdose, and she'd been messing around with drugs for quite a number of years, with increasing dependency and all the devastation that brings. And Giles was also very much into alcohol, and any drug that was going, Giles would, want to try. He ended up with very serious mental health issues, and he died through suicide. He jumped in front of a fast-moving train. When Libby died, there was somebody local through social services, as I remember, who forwarded a link for me to Drugfam. During that first year, I wasn't able to connect with that emotionally. I had to deal with as best I could with my own grief. But the following year, I attended a conference, and I found it so uplifting. The love in the room is tremendous. The love, the support, and the understanding, because everybody in that room has gone through the impact of drugs and alcohol. I think most of my life has been spent in a caring capacity. My work with children with autism, you have to be very caring to be able to do that. And I've always had a very positive outlook on life anyway, because as a young child, my granny always used to say, no matter what happens, there's good in it, and it's your job to find it and deliver the good. And I live by that mantra, that there's something positive in this somewhere. It's not immediately apparent, but it soon will be, and to turn that good into something you can use for the benefit of others. I'm planning on getting my grandson into a special school. We haven't been able to achieve that yet, but it's on the cards, and I'm just going to enjoy him as much as possible. And the same for my husband. He usually recognises me, but not always. He's very, very dependent, but he's a lovely man. He's got a lot of love in his heart, and we're fortunate that we really love each other. I think if you have a story that can help somebody else, it's right to share it. I also think there's great beauty in acknowledging grief and coming to terms with it, and that takes a long time. You know, I mean, you don't ever get over your grief. You learn to manage it, but it's keeping a focus on that these are lives worth talking about. You know, Libby and Giles and all of the other people that we've heard about this morning, all those lives are worth remembering, and that, you know, that has its own beauty. Very much so.
I came back from Afghanistan and I started drinking heavy. Didn't realise it was a problem until I had a car accident, fractured my skull. After that, every time I drank I always got in trouble, fighting or blackouts. So when I got discharged, that's when I started taking drugs to handle me drinking. The things I've experienced in life or in war couldn't relate to someone who's in a civilian.
There was a lot of love, and we knew our darkest secrets together, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience.
Hi, my name's Paul and I'm a recovered alcoholic and addict. And this is Jo. She's a dancer in our company, and she's also in recovery. I'm not very good at speaking. It's one of my biggest fears, actually. I can show you through expressive dance, that would be much easier for me, but I always have a go. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my journey. It's a real honour for me to be here. Thank you, Elizabeth. And I've been really taken with all the people that have spoken before, because I see the other side of the carnage of it, and you know, you guys are inspirational to turn so much pain into so much purpose, and I've got total admiration for, you know, the people that have shared this morning, so thank you for that. Really moving. Yeah, I remember seeing Mum Can You Lend Me 20 Quid about 6 months ago, and I just finished a group and I took some of the groups from the Lee group to go and see it. And I've read the book and then I saw the play and it just really hit me, and I've seen a lot of plays about recovery, but this particular one, it really got me, and it made me realise like how I treated my mother in addiction, you know, so yeah, it was a really, really powerful play. And it made me look at kind of like my side on it, that's my side of it. So thanks for that. It was quite painful, but I think we grow through pain as well, and there's a lot of healing involved. So what I'd like to do is just give you a little bit about my kind of journey from childhood into recovery, just over the next kind of 10-15 minutes.
Hi, I'm Jo. I'm really nervous, so please bear with me. I'm an addict in recovery, and I've been clean for 18 months and 16 days. I remember Paul rang me to say about dancing at this conference, and he told me about Elizabeth in the book, and he was like, oh, it's called Mum, Can You Lend Me 20 Quid? And I was like, wow, I read that book, and I read it about probably 6, 7, 8 years ago when I was in like the grips of active addiction, and so it was really like mad to be asked to come and dance here, because I remember reading it and I was searching for a way out at the time. Like, I knew I had a problem and I was just looking for a way out, but I was just reading loads of books and self-help books, and I remember I read the book and I saw my heart out, and it really touched me.
My name's Paul. I'm an addict and alcoholic in recovery, and I'm Artistic Director of Fallen Angels Dance Theatre, and we work with people on a pathway to recovery or in recovery, and we use movement as a form of inspiring and rehabilitating people.
Basically, I've been invited here because I'm a part of Fallen Angels, and Fallen Angels is helping me with my recovery. I've been in recovery 18 months, so we've been asked to come and speak and dance and basically talk about what we do, which is help people in recovery from addiction.
Yeah, and I remember seeing, I've known Elizabeth for quite a while, and I remember seeing her when I went to see Mum, Can You Lend Me 20 Quid, which really blew me away. It had a massive effect on me. And she asked me if I'd like to create a piece. And it was meant to be with Sophie, and that Sophie couldn't do it. So I said, would you mind if I create something on a recovery artist and a non-recovery artist? And she was like, yeah. So, and then we put this piece together, and I took pictures out of the book and references and poetry that Simon had wrote. So it was quite a powerful moment.
Moonlighting with the sea, shining bright. Sand was like glitter, sparkling in the light. Was this heaven? It felt like it to me. Just peace and quiet, and no need to hurry. I really felt I was in heaven tonight. Let's live how we deserve to now, with love and peace and free. I was looking at me. I walked along the beach tonight, sky full of stars, moonlighting up the sea, shining bright. Sand was like glitter, sparkling in the light. Was this heaven? It felt like it to me.
Good afternoon. Obviously very pleased to come and talk today. To share my journey of bereavement. I think maybe slightly different, but very related to what we've heard today in the room. And I love to share my story in the hope that it helps others. I'm Nick Dawson. I am an IT manager working for the oil company BP. I have come here to share my story on the loss of my brother Simon, and had a chance meeting with Elizabeth, who invited me to come and talk today, and I was delighted to come and share the journey that I've been on through the loss of Simon, my twin brother. Yeah, there was a rather chance coincidence, and that's what connected us. She obviously has a tragic story around the loss of Nick, and it was a Simon-Nick identical twin. I'm the same situation. I'm Nick. I lost my identical twin Simon through a murder, very much in the theme of drugs and bereavement, because it was a drug-related attack. Simon was 30 years old, and he was just very unlucky and had almost like a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance meeting with two rather nasty young men who were on a life of crime, and it was late on a Friday night, bank holiday weekend in August 1998, and he was subjected to a very savage attack, which was a robbery. They wanted money, they wanted his PIN number for his cash card, and turned into murder because they beat him so severely, knocked him unconscious, and then threw him in a pond in the park where they'd attacked him, and he drowned and was found by a man walking his dog the following morning. Very, very tough. It's been 21 years now, but the early years are tremendously hard.
I think it's more just processing the loss, the grief, the anger, the emotion. In our situation, we had 2 offenders who did get caught, and they were sentenced to life in prison, which was we were very grateful for, that the police acted swiftly and we managed to see justice. We've lived as much as we can in a positive way in Simon's name. So many ripples and impacts over the years, which we live with. And my parents, God bless that they're still with me. They have suffered the most from this, I think. I think anyone who thinks about their mum and how does your mum process the loss of a loved child in that way. But we have tried to be positive and live in Simon's memory. That's the most important thing. And be there for the rest of the family and ourselves.
I'm a Detective Chief Inspector with Thames Valley Police. I'm currently the Heroin and Crack Action Area Coordinator, that's a mouthful, for the South East Regional Crime Unit, looking to work with our partnerships in the whole region to reduce drug-related deaths. I think we need to, as the public, remove stigma, particularly towards addiction. Drug use is far more common than you would realise, and actually we need to work together in an open debate and to reduce the tragedy which is drug-related deaths. Well, currently the law is the law as it is at the moment. I mean, what I can say is in Thames Valley Police we are looking at using community resolutions which afford a far better outcome for individuals found in possession, which also give an opportunity for vital education and referral pathways if necessary to drug service treatment. Yeah, I feel very strongly that you can't enforce or coerce someone to comply with a drug service. It has to be through choice. It has to be meaningful and open. So, yeah, I think we cannot underestimate the value of that education about a substance or that person's usage. There's a wealth of evidence throughout the world, actually. I use Portugal as a comparator, so the evidence that their dissuasion committee model has a significant impact, actually, on reducing drug-related harm, which is also widening out to bloodborne viruses as well, the reduction in HIV, for instance. That's a significant evidence base that we could look at and draw upon. And it's something we've contributed to the Dame Carol Black Review, which should be released in November.
And what made you so passionate about this subject area? What got you into it?
I care about people. That's it. There's so many people out there stigmatised, marginalised, without a voice, and I want to be or help amplify that voice with them.
I think it's been an enormously impactful day. One of the things that I think has been so important is to help the families and the loved ones who've lost a member of the family to understand addiction, and I think Professor Strang really, really helped us to do that. I felt certainly for the first time in 15 years that I understood what my sons went through, and that's very special for me and all the other families here, and that's been resonated in all the conversations that I've had with people. Because of the work that we do, and there are 3 strands to our work, working with families where there's active addiction and working with the bereaved, it's really important that the bereaved have the opportunity to come together and also to support them for their own recovery too, because it's sometimes, I think, assumed by society that when you lose a loved one to addiction, that's it, the addict's gone, move on. But actually, it takes time for family members who have lost a loved one to move on. And as we've seen today, there are some very newly bereaved, some in longer term recovery. And it's just very, very important work that we do. We're open 7 days a week, 9 till 9, taking calls, having bereavement meetings, having active addiction meetings and for the families, and we just have to keep on keeping on what we do.
And you personally, Elizabeth, how long are you going to keep going doing this?
Well, I think probably till I die, to be honest. I'm very passionate about it, and you know, the body's getting old, but the brain's all right at the moment. So I think that I will continue for as long as I feel it's right to do. I've got an absolutely wonderful team around me, and you know, it's not about me, it's about the team.
Mama, can you hear me? My voice is like the rain. Little teardrops falling to bring comfort to your pain. I know that I hurt you more than anyone can know. Now I wanna hold you, never let you go. I know I was so crazy to ever get involved in a world so dark and hazy. It can never be resolved. I was running from the anger, the guilt, the fear, the shame. Though I knew the danger, I couldn't change a thing. Could live my life over, I wouldn't be that fool. I treasure the love you gave me, never break the golden rule. I'd linger